We will let me and get situated and then we'll begin. No need to apologize. It's 9 o'clock on the button. Okay, I'm going to call to order the Town of Telluride, Colorado Special Town Council meeting. It is Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024 at 9 a.m. and we are hybrid in this meeting at Rebecca Hall at 113 West Columbia Avenue. I'd like to go around the room, starting off to my right for a roll call.
Ellen 11.
Jesse Arguez.
Geneva Shawnette.
Ian Fee.
Dan Enright.
And Teddy Erico, Mayor. Number one, action items. 1A, consideration of retaining the outside services of Columbia Consultant LTD to assist with the recruitment process for a new town manager and authorization for the mayor to sign an agreement for the same. And we have Julia from the town of Telluride and Drew from Columbia here to present.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. So I think everybody here has had the opportunity to at least informally meet Drew Gorgay, our executive recruiter who has helped us with previous town manager recruitments and some other director and key staff recruitments, which have been successful. We're excited to welcome him back to help us through this process. And I think, some of the first things he's going to walk us through is just understanding council's desire for what the next candidate is going to look like in terms of qualifications, being very clear on how the process is going to flow, establishing some timelines and how we're going to work through this. Once again, as you guys being the search committee. So Drew, I'll turn it over to you to help council work through that.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Mayor. Good morning, Council. Good morning, all professional staff, and good morning to everybody who's listening to this. I'm Drew Gorgay. I own Columbia Limited, a professional executive recruiting firm headquartered in Colorado Springs. And first thing I want to say is thank you. This is one of my favorite places in the world. This is my favorite place in the world, period, and has been since the Telluride Film Festival in 1997. So I've been recruiting actively on behalf of the town for almost 7 full years, and also recruiting on behalf of the county. So your last 2 town managers, including your current manager, the current San Miguel County manager, your town marshal, your public works director are all, and I believe still the county planning director, are all persons that I recruited. And so that's good. The town attorney and I have had a chance, and I'm sure that you've had a chance to be advised by him on the legal requirements for the recruitment. And we're going to make sure this morning that we follow all of those to the letter. Part of that involves the qualifications for the job. And we'll get to that in just a second. I would say that the collective response that I got from my interviews with all of you is, and with every department head, including those who are either you have two department heads who are out of country that I still was able to get feedback from for this process. So I got feedback from everybody, and I'm grateful for that. I think collectively what you all would like is for the next person who comes in to have a longer tenure than the one that you just had. I would state that your current town manager met his ethical obligations under the ICMA Code of Ethics, which is 2 years. You're going to get a little beyond that, so he should be credited for that. If anyone listening to this is wondering what happened or what's wrong, my answer is nothing happened and nothing is wrong. Some are longer, some are shorter, and that's just the way it is. With that in mind, we will be looking for somebody who is suited for this opportunity with an eye towards longevity. At this current time in Telluride, that necessarily involves somebody with some emotional resilience, mental toughness, grit, thick skin, however you want to phrase it. And I'll use probably some or all of those words in the next write-up. But I'm aware of that, and somebody who really views Telluride as her or his or their home for the entire time that they're here, and hopefully for a long time. But of your last 2 managers, the average tenure is 3 years. Of your last 3 managers, I believe it's a little over 4. So that's not abnormally short, I'm afraid, in this day and age. So I'm just aware of all of that. The candidate profile document was part of my submittal as part of the proposal to get this job. So by this reference, I would incorporate that in its entirety to this record for the public. That includes a summary of all the issues that you were dealing with 2.5 years ago, many of which are still here and just on a shorter time frame, including major regional development projects like the gondola and the wastewater treatment plant, affordable housing, and the rest of the list. I don't need to recite what's already in the record. Those are the big ones. I think my biggest new takeaway from all the interviews yesterday is how on the same page your department heads and all of you are on a couple of, in several areas. One has to do with these major projects and just the general progress of town and town government. And there's a desire that it doesn't matter who comes in or how long they stay. Collectively, you want to capture all the advances that you've made in the last 2 years and in the last 6 years and in the last 12 years and not lose a step. And if you can imagine a relay race where there are multiple runners, each passing a baton, each running a leg, holding the baton, and then passing it on, you want whoever comes in here to run the best possible leg for as long as possible before they pass the baton to the next person. And you want that person not to miss a step and to pick it up from there and run their leg. That's what you want. That's what you need. And that necessarily means I'm looking for somebody with experience. I'm looking for somebody who's smart, intelligent. I mean, both cognitively and emotional intelligence to be able to come in here, figure it out quickly and move on. So in a perfect world, that's somebody else from a mountain community or a resort community or a very intense community, where they're having to deal with a lot, who's not having to come in here and figure some of these fundamentals out, ideally, but that you also have an open mind. I think the credentials, the qualifications as written probably could stand a little relaxing. And I'm not saying to zoom to entry level or anything like that, but I am saying that the requirement of 10 years of progressively responsible experience in local government might be phrased, I think should be phrased, will be phrased as up to 10 years, including 5 years as a municipal manager or assistant, as major department head, something on the order of 3 to 5 years. And then I think the best safety net that you can give yourself is some sort of phrasing along the lines of that you as town council and the hiring committee are open to accepting any reasonable combination of experience or education that reasonably demonstrates an ability to do the job. Okay. So I don't intend that from the jump as sort of your instant wild card or easy out. This is an attractive place to be and live and work. This is work worth doing times 10. So I have no idea how many people will apply, but I do think you're going to get, I am confident I'm going to meet the mission of my company, which is to give you meaningful choice between highly qualified candidates, period. That's my primary job. After that, it's up to you who you choose. But I have every reason to believe that for the third time in 7 years, we'll be able to do that. So that's it. In terms of salary and compensation, I'm not sure that we've set numbers there yet or not. You are 145 to 195. Local government salaries across the country have just exploded. I mean, exploded. And so you're probably going to want something over 2 on the high end. You're probably going to want to come up from the bottom as well. I'm literally saying this just sitting here, but something like 175 to 215 or something like that. We'll probably get it done. If you really want to lock it in, 180 to 220, something like that. And that's it. But if you can sort of by vote delegate that to further discussion either today or after, I don't know what you're comfortable with there legally, Kevin, but that's it. And I'm confident I've got a good read on things. And I would say something publicly that that came up universally and probably contributed to the short tenure in this case, or shorter tenure than desired. I guess I should stop using the word short tenure. That's not necessarily true. And that is your civic engagement and the intensity attached to it are at an all-time high in terms of what's the right word? It's beyond intensity. It's at a almost aggressive level, and community engagement is not only fine, it's absolutely encouraged. And the First Amendment is alive and well, and people have the right to say almost anything they want within that, and to care about their government. And you have universally a commitment to transparency and open government, so that people don't have to look for answers to their questions. But there's an element of something going on right now that hasn't been going on in Telluride previously. And you know what I'm talking about much better than I do. But some sort of coordinated community conversation or series of conversations, I think, to anything that you can do to turn down the volume is going to help all concerned. And I don't know all the issues and who's on what side and what, but you almost need to go to neutral corners and come out with some rules about talking about these major issues. And I think classic conversations, I think conversations around growth are hardly unique to Telluride. That everywhere there is growth, there are people who've been here for a while who may not be in favor of it. There are people who have been here for less time who are more in favor of it. That's not unique to you. The fact that you are in one of the world's premier resort communities, and that attracts people, who have succeeded in other areas of their life and who have come here for the things that you've built. And those there's no such thing as those people. There is no sort of bucket here that we're putting everybody into, but that means that they have a lot of experience and they care. So sorting all that out in a coordinated way, I think, is going to benefit any manager who comes in here next. You have to have housing as part of this opportunity. If you don't have housing as part of this opportunity, don't bother. Don't bother. I'm going to say that right now. And you also reflected to me, this was, there is no requirement in your charter that the manager live in town. Contractually, you have obtained that from all of your managers ever. And you don't have to decide that question today or even discuss it. But maybe some flexibility there. And the reason for that was to afford the person who takes the job a better opportunity at work-life balance, so that when you're home, you are away from work. You can do that or not do that. I have no opinion. But that's generally it. If I need to read into the record the rest of the qualifications, I'm happy to do that. 4-year degree in a relevant field of study, public administration, political science, business administration. I would also add the words or related field to give you a little more flexibility. Up to 10 years of progressively responsible experience in local government, including 3 to 5 as a municipal manager, assistant, or major department head, or equivalents in education and experience. And I'm going to enhance that language to give you more flexibility. And residency in town are preferred. I wouldn't change that yet. You don't have to change that yet. You can deal with that later. A graduate degree is desirable, as is the ability to speak Spanish. I think all those things are still relevant to you. We're also required to discuss the process a little bit. So in the kickoff letter yesterday, I sent what is actually a somewhat updated schedule, and I'm going to actually suggest one more thing that probably works to your advantage. But we're going to really burn the midnight oil and get this live. I think this says 24th on the go live date. I had intended Tuesday the 28th as the go live date, as is reflected in the active recruitment period. We would keep this open from Tuesday, the 28th to July 7th. I am all over the map here. Forgive me, what I sent you is not where I landed. Forgive the discrepancy between what I'm saying right now and what I sent you in writing. The go live date would be Tuesday, the day after Memorial Day. And typically we keep the opportunities open, posted nationally for 5 weeks. So that yields a filing deadline of June 30th. That is 1, 2, 3, 4. That is 2 days short of 5 weeks. So June 30th would be the filing deadline. When I sent my initial schedule, I failed to account for the impact of the July 4th holiday. And really that whole week, that's kind of a dead week. And what that means is I would be interviewing candidates on your behalf on the 15th and 16th of July. And then I've got the finals currently scheduled for July 30th and 31st. Now, this is where I would actually recommend a little more time. Instead of the 30th and 31st, convert the finals to the 8th and 9th, which are a Thursday and a Friday. That'll give me a little bit more time to prepare you for the finals. And let me back up even further and just explain more fundamentally how I do what I do. The work product that comes out of all of my conversations yesterday and yesterday and this morning is the candidate profile document that drives the entire recruitment. It's a brochure, but I want to be real clear. It's not a travel brochure. I'm not selling anybody an all expense paid trip to Telluride. I absolutely paint this community in its best light, but I don't feel I'm doing my job as a recruiter unless I shine the light on the most difficult aspects of this opportunity as well. And that includes the intense civic engagement that's going on right now. That includes how long winter is here. That includes that you measure snow in feet, not inches. That includes that the drive to any grocery store of any size is, 90 minutes to longer, depending on construction and weather and anything else, and all the rest, and obviously the cost of living. But as you have experienced, people who are willing to pay that cost of admission and come here and trade where they are for here, many of those people never leave. And I try to paint all that in the profile. We have a national advertising campaign, so we're going to use the most trusted advertising venues that everybody uses and a few others that not everybody uses. Direct outreach by me is a big part of this. Calling people that I know, my own personal LinkedIn, things like that. And direct mail, it's not the best business decision, but I'm old school when it comes to printing and mailing. And I do, 400 to 450 direct mails out of this. And as soon as somebody shows me that it's not working anymore, I guess that's when I'll stop spending the money to do it. But that's a very robust campaign for those 5 weeks. We will get some number of candidates. I don't know how many. Just for the sake of conversation, I'll say 40. 40 is an unmanageable number. You're paying me to apply my experience to that larger pool and cut it down to a more manageable number. Typically for me, that's 14, 16, 18. That shorter list will receive from me invitations to a screening interview that has 2 components, a written component, and then a Zoom or FaceTime interview for about 35 minutes. The written component is a questionnaire, which is not, simple Simon Metapiman. I really want people to prove to you that they can communicate in writing and to communicate their philosophy, their reasons for wanting to be here. And you'll see those questionnaires at the end. That process knocks out some people who aren't serious about being here. They either are too good or too busy to answer your questionnaire, so they self-select out. So 18 may become 14. And then after speaking with 14, I'm not sending you 14. I don't know what the number will be. 7 people, 8 people, 12 people. You can just call it a top 10. You'll receive from me in advance a candidate book that will have a list of everybody who applied. I want to be clear for the record that this is always your recruitment. It is never my recruitment. You're paying for my opinion, but the only ones with the authority and the responsibility to make the decisions are you, not me. And so you may see somebody on the longer list and say, I can't believe they're not in the book. You can see somebody in the book and say, I can't believe they're in the book. And in executive session, first of all, you'll have all those materials in advance. You'll have detailed information on the ones who are being recommended, a summary sheet with all of their experience. You'll see everything that I saw, cover letter, resume, and the written responses to the questionnaires. And then as a group, you'll do what the voters put you in your chairs to do, which is discuss as a group who's moving on after that. Then we'll have the finalist interview process. You have one of the single best finals processes going. I would not recommend any changes. You have sort of a combination panel interview by your leadership team and tour. And it's combined in that the subject area experts are the ones giving the tours of their respective parts of the town. So the parks people are talking about parks. Your town marshal is talking about public safety. Your public works director is talking about public works and regional projects. And then you have the core administrative group talking about everything else. And then we convene after that and I get feedback from them. You have always had a wonderful turnout at your public receptions, what everybody calls a meet and greet. I capture comments from everybody who is there on this laptop, and all of that information filters back to you in executive session. And before executive session, the most important part of the whole thing is your interview of these finalists in executive session one at a time. So I would counsel you not to hear any of the feedback until after you've seen these candidates yourself, so that you're not influenced by anybody else's opinion, that what you see and what you hear in that interview and how you feel about these people, you get to keep that pure and then be informed by everybody else. I'm as involved or uninvolved in this process as you want. I can be completely hands-off. I can be the MC and everything in between. And typically I've been right in the middle and actually more in the background until the very end. And that's the process. And now I think, council, we've fulfilled every requirement. Have we?
Yeah, I was just going to mention for the record, this is Kevin Geiger, town attorney, that the first agenda item was 1A, was consideration of the contract with Columbia Limited. We kind of went into 1B as well, and that's fine. I just want to mention that for the record. And for the record, I don't think we've entered it previously, but I will subsequently. There's a May 13th, 2024 correspondence from Columbia Limited to Mayor Errico, and there's also a follow-up dated May 21st. And that's what Mr. Gourguet was referencing when he was in-depth discussing with council job qualifications, timing. That timing was modified by his presentation. And we should just reflect that if there are any subsequent changes also that come after council considers this. But some of those dates were changed in that document dated May 21st. And I think the one that council probably needs to spend the most time on in terms of the personal calendar is the finalist interview process, which Drew indicated right now tentatively would be set for 2 days, August 8th and 9th.
Correct.
And I think that's really those are the dates that council should take a look at their calendar, make sure that those 2 full days work and can be set aside, because that's a fairly intensive period where we are conducting the interviews and the public outreach. Go ahead, Drew.
Yeah, I would just clarify that for your calendars, you would be booking the evening of the 8th for the public reception. And I think it's fair to book the entire day, the 9th, for your interviews. The tour and the leadership team interviews would take place on the day of the 8th, Thursday, the 8th. The public reception would take place on the 9th. And then your interviews would be the morning of the public reception would take place on the evening of the 8th. And your interviews would take place on the morning of the 9th, with executive session immediately following. That's when you get all the information from the day before, and you should be prepared to make a decision then and there. You should have no problem doing that.
I want to just point out to everybody, because some of us do work or a board member of the Telluride Jazz Festival, which will start the night of the 8th. And then be in the park on the 9th, which may also make it, even though it's a minor festival, challenging for Parks and Rec to participate. And
Hey-
I just want to point that out. So, and
Also the only weekend in August. I have a wedding in Vermont. It's the only
So-
weekend in August that I'm not here.
So those dates won't work. And you know, the summer economy is driven by your festival calendar. That's why I had the Tuesday, Wednesday originally, 30 and 31. We can do 30 and 31. Or 6 and 7.
why don't we all, is it okay with you, Drew, if we all take a look at our calendars? We don't rush through it right now and get back to you in short order, 24, 48 hours and pick that
Yes.
day? Is that okay?
Yes,
I'd
it
rather
is.
do that than us not really diving in and looking at every option, because once we set it, I want to make sure that every single council person can clear that based on work schedules, personal schedules, commitments, and things like that.
Yeah, I am not available on August 2nd, which is a Friday. So I guess I'm asking you to look at 30 and 31 or 6 and 7. 15 or 16 you can, but that's getting out there.
Would it be possible to do 31st or 1st or 7th and 8th potentially?
Yes,
That's what he just.
yes.
Thanks. that'd be good.
7th and 8th works for me the best.
August.
Yeah.
We're missing one member.
I was planning on leaving on the 8th, so I would prefer 31st and 1st.
I'll have to look, because 31st and 1st might be bad for me. But again, let's everyone, it's very important. So,
Yeah.
Let's take our time
My ex-husband
and-
about
and-
summer plans.
and if we can say we can get back to Drew by end of day Friday, so we could pick those dates, I would prefer to do it that way.
Is there any reason why we're leaning to later in the week and not, could we do like Monday, Tuesdays? Is that cool, or are we wanting it as far back in the week for any particular reason?
Please see if any of these 2 days in a row would work. 29, 30, 30, 31, 31 and 1, 6 and 7, 7 and 8. And then if you really want to go out, you can just keep doing that. 12 and 13, 13 and 14, and so on.
Let's try to cut it at 13, 14 and not go past that. And everyone just please, again, I think, what's the best way, Kevin, for people to get the schedule to you of what works, prioritize maybe? Is that to you? Is that to Julia? What's the best avenue for us to communicate? Because we know we can't communicate together.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably encourage you, if there's any way to set it today, and everyone has their calendars in front of you today.
End of day today?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
we just sometimes don't get responses back. We don't always hear preferred dates, or someone has a different preferred date. And it's just harder to kind of arrange all that. You're all here right now. If you have access to your calendars, that might be preferred. I did hear from Ashley that 7th and 8th does not work for her. So I think we probably need to take that off the table right now.
What's the time frame per day? Because like for me,
Yeah.
it's tough, because it may be like, like I run
Oh.
a concert series on Wednesdays. Yes, I can find someone to cover for me, and I'm happy to do that because this is more important, but it's tough to make an immediate decision. So the
The-
timing for each day would be
The timing
helpful.
for each day, and let's just call these now day 1 and day 2. On day 1, we need all of you for the evening. And on day 2, we need you for the full day.
And full day.
Full day, it depends on the number of candidates that you advance. I don't think you've ever gone past early afternoon, frankly. But 8 to 4 or 8 to 3.
Okay, that's just a ballpark.
Yeah.
That'll be helpful for everybody. And evening 5 to 9 the day before.
No way, no way. More like well, I think in the past what we've done is had and this is actually, I think you're looking at a 2.5 hour commitment, and we have blocked off the candidates just for you from 4 to 5, so 4 to 6:30. And then for the last 90 minutes, it's for everybody. That's just to give you a chance to meet the candidates in an informal setting before you interview them in executive session the next day.
Great. Everyone okay with doing it by 5 o'clock today? And Kevin, who do you want us to send it to
I think we should just
I
do
think you
it
said
now.
this
now?
Yeah,
Let's,
because I
um,
think we can, figure it out. I'm sure Gio will be back in a second. Go ahead, Elena.
I think the 29th and 30th would work well, like earlier in the week is definitely easier for me.
I'm unfortunately the opposite.
Okay.
Those Mondays and Tuesdays are far less preferable for me. Can be accommodated if last resort, but
Yeah, 6 and 7 is a good one for me, but so that's not good for Ashley.
No, I can do 6 and 7, just 8 is the day that I was planning on.
I'm actually looking at the latest possible, because I don't know what our summer schedule is with kids and traveling, and I'm thinking the closer to school, the better, so the 13th to 14th. I mean, just to err on the side of caution with that.
I mean, we have a town council meeting scheduled for the 6th. Is that an issue?
I would like to not maybe.
Yeah,
I
like
mean,
that,
Well, the
it takes a
6th,
lot of brain energy and we will need more.
yeah.
Would be the public portion though.
Yeah.
The shorter
No,
meet and greet.
No, but
program.
there is the
4 to 5.
individual, the council members, that hour beforehand, hour before the public of our opportunity as council to do our meet and greet before the public is welcomed in. Correct?
correct.
Thank you.
I kind of like the idea of them being able to watch a town council meeting, to be totally honest. I think that feels.
You just need to make sure you wrap up by, let's say, 3:30 that day.
Could we commit to maybe doing a light town council on the 6th,
Mhm.
knowing that this is going to be part of that day?
And this has to be our priority. No disrespect to the actual council meeting, but.
Yeah, we can adjust your agenda to make sure that you don't load too much on to go
Yeah,
to go
it-
longer,
it-
or we push things to the next meeting at the
it-
town council. That's
Yeah,
fine.
and it's a long day but I agree with me in a little bit on this one, where if they can see some of the town council meeting and the dynamics, it might not be such a bad idea.
And if we have a little bit shorter agenda, we shouldn't be as burned out.
What does staff think?
Challenge might be the department head tours and that event going on during the day if department heads need to present at council. And the candidates will be walking around to each department to get a feel for the operations. That would be prohibitive to them engaging in a council meeting or some department heads being able to participate in those tours.
Every candidate, every finalist will go back and look at recordings of your old meetings.
Okay.
I mean,
6, 7.
I think that it might be the best actually for me too, now that I'm looking at school schedules.
6, 7?
Yeah,
Didn't we just decide that didn't work though?
yes, because of what Julia's saying, I think so.
I think we could probably be flexible on that too. We'll just make sure that department heads aren't
Well, wait,
presenting right when the tours are going to be going on.
Are there
I
really
think
no
we could
other
probably-
The
dates in that,
finalists are flowing.
I could do
in that 2 week
12,
period?
12, 13, 13, 14. I can make work for sure
I can do
of
those.
August.
I can do those too.
I can do that.
I can do that as well.
Is 13, 14 better for you?
It is true.
Because 14 ends early, that works great for me. I mean, if we want to just commit to that, and then that pads, not that Drew's going to need it, but it also pads the time, which isn't a bad thing either. I don't mind giving him an extra week or two based on, it's actually just 1 week based on the original recommendation. So, and not even a full week. So let's do 13, 14. Can we commit to that?
Yeah.
Yep.
When is,
Yeah.
what are your July meeting dates?
August 6th, and I believe it's 3 weeks after that, so it should be the 27th. But I don't have that calendar right in front of me, but I'm pretty sure. that-
No, your July meeting dates?
Oh, July.
16 and 20, June, July, 16, just the 16th.
Okay, right now I'm scheduled to recommend candidates to you on the 23rd. First of all, if you're going to bump the finals to 13, 14, I would also extend the filing deadline to July 7. There's no reason not to do that. You get more time and potentially more applicants. I would, you can set the meeting when I recommend candidates to you any day that you want. So I'm asking what is the preferred day and even time of day for recommending candidates to you? Right now I have the 23rd which is a Tuesday, you'd be calling a special meeting then. But what would work best for you?
23rd of July.
Yes. So I think now
I'll make it
the
work.
choices are the 23rd of July or even the 30th of July for recommending candidates.
23rd should be fine.
Either's fine for me.
Either's fine.
Julia, we lose you on the 30th.
23rd.
23rd, I
what-
like the 23rd. I think
What
it's-
time of day, please? This time or some other time?
With the little, excuse me, with the little longer runway, 9 AM is fine with me, since we're already building in a little more time. I see Julia make a face.
No, my computer's doing something. It's-
Okay.
9 a.m.
9 AM on the 23rd. Are we good with that?
Special meeting.
I mean, and Geneva had to run and participate in something important to her. So we have to triple check with her.
The 30th is better for me.
Then the 23rd.
But for that meeting, Drew, that should be another short meeting. It shouldn't be too.
That's entirely on how
I just
much
don't
you
know if I'm
work.
gonna be in town.
Okay. Can you help tell me again, please, what that
Yeah.
meeting on that day?
The recommendation of candidates, in advance of that meeting, I'm going to send you a printed book that has detailed information on the candidates recommended by my firm, as well as a list of all the candidates who applied for the opportunity. You'll receive those books in enough time to review them in advance. The shortest I've ever held that meeting is 15 minutes, and the longest I've ever held that meeting is 2 hours, over 2 hours. And why the difference? It's entirely on your level of preparation. If all of you have read and studied in advance and you're ready to say, I want 1, 2, 3, and 4, I prefer 4, 6, and 8, and then you horse trade to get down to your finalists, it's a very short meeting. And if people are picking up the book, the morning of, it can be a much longer meeting. So that's entirely on you.
What day are you gonna have that book ready? I'm sorry.
Well, that's something where maybe I'll give myself a little more time here. Maybe I'll make the deadline closer to July 2nd. If I finish interviews on the 16th, you should have books that Friday, the 19th.
July 19th?
Yeah.
I would still prefer the 23rd.
23rd works for me.
Works for me.
Works for me. And I asked Geneva, and that works for Geneva as well as the August dates that we
Okay.
talked about.
Did you say you wouldn't be here, Jesse Ray?
I don't know yet. I'm waiting to finalize summer plans with my ex-husband.
If you're out on that, Zoom is fine, right? For anybody
'Cause it's
for
not
an
an
hour.
executive session.
It is exec session.
All right, so
But I'll just have to make a point to like read it and give my recommendations, the numbers, right? Yeah.
You can do that.
Okay, that
Get
works.
feedback.
All right, let's do that.
23rd.
23rd at 9 to recommend.
And then Kevin, just so, and I know you brought it up and don't know if we've muddled 1A and 1B. Do you want me to go back to 1A and get the motion? We're kind of a step ahead of us because we kind of need to retain, we're already
Yeah.
setting it all up and we haven't retained them yet.
Yeah, I view this as you've had a discussion now on 1A and 1B. We do need a formal motion for both. So the motion on 1A should just be basically a motion to approve the agreement as the date was submitted. I believe that was the date of,
20, we have the 21st or the
13th, I
the
thought.
13th. Got it. Okay.
but as revised by the submission on the 21st. And your motion for 1B, I have provided you with a suggestion on that. I don't think there are any other changes because a lot of this includes language of as discussed or as submitted. So I think that motion is broad enough for 1B. And if you need help with 1A, just let me know, but I think it's a pretty straightforward motion if you just reference the date of the agreement and the subsequent submittal. Again, that was May 13th.
Okay.
Subsequent submittal, May 21st.
I will entertain a motion for action item 1A.
Hold on. 13th and 21st. Okay. Oh, thank you. I move to retain the outside services of Columbia Consulting Limited to assist with the recruitment process for a new town manager and authorization for the mayor to sign an agreement for the same based on the submission, initially dated May 13th and the revision May 21st.
Second,
We have a motion on the table from Mian, a second from Jesse Ray. Mian, how do you vote?
Mian, yes?
Jesse Ray, yes.
Elena, yes.
Ashley, yes.
Dan, yes.
Teddy, yes. Approved unanimously to retain the outside services of Columbia Consulting. So action item 1A is complete and approved. Now for action item 1B, after our discussion, do we have any questions for Drew or Julia before we entertain a motion?
Yeah, just one quick question, Julia, do we have a formalized exit interview process for the manager's position when there's an outgoing manager?
That is something that Drew is going to do, engage in as well to get that feedback directly from the existing manager.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I said I would address that and forgot to, so thanks for redirecting. My conversations yesterday with the department heads did not include your town manager or your deputy town manager as part of the group. However, it is essential that I speak to both of them, which I will by phone within the next 48 hours, I think. And I will be as thorough with that as I ever am with everything. So that means completely thorough. And I'll share what I learn.
Great. Any other questions from council? Piper, do we have anybody online since there's nobody in the room?
We do have some public online.
Is anybody, I will take public comment if anybody wants to raise their hand. I don't know if,
I see none.
okay, seeing no public comment requests. I will entertain a motion for item B unless there's any further discussion within the council members.
I move to designate the Telluride Town Council as the search committee to fill the vacancy for the Telluride Town Manager and adopt the deadlines for applications, requirements for applicants, selection procedures, and the timeframe for appointing or employing a new chief executive officer, town manager of the town of Telluride, Colorado, as presented by our recruiter, Columbia Limited, and direct the finalization of the written job description by Columbia Limited as same was also discussed with council.
Second. Dan, you take it.
We have a motion from Mian, a second from Dan. Mian, how do you vote?
Mian, yes?
Dan, yes.
Elena, yes.
Jesse Ray, yes.
Ashley, yes.
Teddy, yes. Action item 1B, consideration is approved unanimously. Seeing that we are through action items 1A, B, this meeting is now adjourned.
So.
Thank you.
Thank you for everyone's time today.